Hi, my name is Keith Ellis. I'm a student at Peru State College, graduate student in the Management 602 Research Methods and Statistical Analysis. Today I'm doing a presentation on my final paper for this class, a research paper, and the topic of my research paper will be economic development for small rural communities in Nebraska. First of all, we want to gain an understanding. The focus will be to gain an understanding of what economic development means for small rural communities, to understand what services that they have available, support services that they have available, and also to understand the knowledge and expertise that they have that they use on a regular basis for economic development, and what that means to have a regular basis of inquiries and those kinds of things. That's part of my survey as well. The sample test will be a target population of 300 participants with a level of significance of 95%, which would give us approximately 169 test units, or a sample size of 169 people for the survey. The survey will be a multi-stage sampling technique. We will also use a probability sample, which really means that it's probable that all the participants will have an equal opportunity to participate. The target for this particular survey will be chamber executives, economic development executives at the local level. It even might be a local volunteer. That's the only people that really are working on economic development. Or it also could be a city clerk or a village clerk, which might be the only access point for an individual to find those economic development, community development support services. The city governments usually have a large say in what an access point for citizens to go to provide support for them for business or economic development, community development. This will be a fixed alternative question survey, which is important because it gives us the opportunity to really drill down to some specific categories and questions. The final two questions are open-ended questions, and so what we're using is a combination of both fixed alternative and open-ended questions. The variables for this, the dependent variable is the amount of experience that these individuals would have in doing community and economic development. The independent variable is the amount of knowledge that they have for support services that are available to them. The hypothesis for my research is that the smaller the community, the lower the level of the economic development or community development within the community. And my alternative hypothesis is, as the level of economic development diminishes, the population gets smaller. And so as you can understand, when you get to these smaller communities, they really don't have a lot of access. They don't have a lot of inquiry. And so they get into a level of survival, which is a whole different type of economic development, because they're really going to just try to maintain themselves, and they don't have an opportunity to do a lot of proactive economic development. I'm going to use a couple of different methods in testing for my research. The first one is the chi-square, which is going to be used I have about 4 or 5 questions that pertain to economic development, whether it's retention or recruitment or community development, and it gives some opportunities to understand those different categories, and I can put that into a table and then understand the mean and the variables that go with that particular test. The second test is the t-test, which is really the comparing the statistical means for experience, age, and knowledge. And that's important because we really need to understand as they gain levels or experience within the community in their position through years of experience, does that also mean that they're also gaining experience in economic development? Are they getting the number of inquiries that help them to gain that experience? I use a couple of different validity tests for reliability. The first one is the construct validity, which means that I'm really using I am the peer host for the survey, and I have a relationship with these communities because of my position as an economic development consultant with Nebraska Public Power District. I work with these communities and these individuals within these small rural communities. The second validity test is the convergent test, which is basically all of my questions. The survey in total is all relatable, and there is no question on the survey that really has anything to do other than the focus of community and economic development. So it's extremely convergent on the topic. There are 12 survey questions that I have on this particular experiment. The first one, of course, is age and gender, or gender, I should say, the first question. And so we certainly need to know that particular aspect of our participants. The second one is going to be age. Are they 18 to 25, 26 to 35, 36 to 45, and 46 to 55, and then I have a 55 or older category. The next one, the third question, is the community population. Are they under 1,000? Or are they 1,000 to 1,499 people, 1,500 to 2,999 people in their citizens within their community, or they are 3,000 to 5,000 population? We want to get a broad range of different participants, so we have a good level of understanding from different sized communities. It's important for us to understand the level of education. Are they a high school graduate? Do they have some college level of education, maybe a 2-year associate degree, possibly a undergraduate degree, or maybe a postgraduate degree? We need a little bit more understanding of the level of education they have. That also can, in the long term, can apply to also continuing education as well. Job titles are extremely important for this particular research study because the different access points within the community are important. And so this could be the access point could be a city clerk, village clerk, could be a chamber of commerce exec, an economic development executive at the local level, or even might be a volunteer. It could be just a volunteer that is assigned to really work on community development, economic development within the community. We do want to define economic development. There are really 3 different levels of economic development. There's recruitment, which is bringing in new business. Retention is retaining and expanding existing business, retaining those jobs and those employers within the community. And then finally, there's community development, which would be the infrastructure, the housing, and all of those things that pertain to the benefit of having a large employer or a major employer at that level of a small rural community. And so those are the different types of economic development. We want them to define economic development that they utilize within their community. The next, we want to know what the number of inquiries they get at their level. Do they have, on a monthly basis, 3 or less inquiries? Maybe they have 4 to 6 inquiries. Could be 7 to 10 inquiries or over 10 inquiries on a monthly basis. This gives us an understanding of their level of experience and continued utilization of their services and their tools in community and economic development. It's really important in the next question to understand, do they have a local leadership level of economic development, community development through a formal or informal organization? It could be in a small community, it could just be their village board, but at least some level of leadership that focuses in on the day-to-day types of activities and making sure that there's accountability for economic development and community development. Next question, the 10th question, is what are their economic development support services? It's a yes or no question. The last question is also a yes or no question. If it's a yes answer, then what we try to do is to provide or understand what are the support services that they use within their community, what are their access points to get greater services for economic development. It could be a utility, it could be a number of different things within their region that provide support services. And then finally, we want to understand and get a definition in their terms of what economic development is. And this is an open-ended question where they get an opportunity to really write in their own words what economic development really means for their community. And so it gives us greater understanding in their eyes and their perspective, not ours, their eyes, their perspective of what economic development is. You know, in conclusion, this is really about a greater understanding of what the needs are in these small rural communities. You know, they really do have economic development and community development. It might not be the same as a larger community, but they do have it. They do have an understanding of what they need to survive. And so what we try to do is to gain an understanding of what those needs are, what those expectations are, what are the support services that they are gaining from access to different types of services, and then finally to find a way to understand their expectations. And that gives us the idea of what kind of abilities we have to provide support to them. Finally, you know, in reflecting on this class, Management 602 for me, certainly it's been a challenging class for me. I certainly have really enjoyed the work that I've done within the learning of statistical analysis. Quite honestly, we do have staff within our organization that does this on a day-to-day basis with the PhD economist and a marketing expert. And so this has given me an opportunity to really understand the work that they do, and when I do a request for some sort of research, it gives me a greater understanding and opportunity to delve into the depth of those particular surveys and those experiments, so that we're able to have more of a conversation and value of what that could mean for a community, or a value for what that can mean for our particular organization. So in reflection, this has been a wonderful experience for me, so I can share that knowledge that they have with my peers and within my organization. Thank you.